I'm not muted. I mean, I was muted, but I knew I was muted. Because I was just finishing this apple that I was eating. So 1 minute, let me just finish this apple. I don't want to crunch in your ears. Okay, I'm back. All right, where was I doing? So we got a lot to talk about tonight. A lot to talk about with these three trials. Major things happening in the P. Diddy trial. Hi, Gail. Hi, Debbie Two Scooter. Hello, it's just me. And thank you, everyone, for joining. So, Karen Reed and P. Diddy, Bryan Kohberger. I wanted to go over a little more about what's going on with Bryan Kohberger. I'm kind of skeptical about that guy, that Bloom guy. I don't believe what he says. He reminds me of another. What is that? I'm not muted. I mean, I was muted, but I knew I was muted. Hold on a minute. Where's that coming from? That scared me. Because I was just finishing this apple that I was eating. So 1 minute, let me just finish this. Sherilyn Cadle. That's what she reminds me of. And I said that earlier when Debbie, did you see the Lori hearing today? It was hilarious. I heard that. It's just me. I heard the Lori hearing. We could go over that too. She had a pretrial hearing for the second murder conspiracy case in Arizona. That's where she's facing charges relating to the death of her former husband, Charles Vallow, and is also serving a life sentence in Idaho for the murders of her two children. The hearing involved the pretrial conference ahead of the trial for the murder of for conspiracy to commit the murder of Brandon Boudreaux. He was not killed. He's her former nephew-in-law, and it was thought that Alex Cox tried to kill him by shooting him from a vehicle. He didn't get him, but yeah, that's what was happening. She argued against the inclusion of her name and the name of the case on the jury questionnaire, fearing it would lead to juror bias. She also expressed concerns about potential juror misconduct and the release of personal information. Interesting. But let's let me see here. I want to see what this we talked about the Kohberger stuff. I wanted to see. Hold on one second. I'm trying to see. Oh, I know what's going on here. I want to see one. I'm just looking at one thing, okay? So somebody said, uh-oh. Okay. Trying to see what they said about her radar online is saying that Bryan Kohberger was inspired by incel Elliot Roger. Come on. Trying to go through this thing where this all just came out of Dateline, but they came about with this. Who leaked the info to Dateline? That's what they're saying. And someone's saying leak. Someone said, I honestly didn't find any new important info. Either things we already heard of, speculations, or barely relevant. Who cares? Someone said, mostly the Dateline episode took inspiration from Bloom's book. And that's what I thought. So it was much ado about nothing because he is somebody like a Sherilyn Cadle. Sorry, that's my opinion. So that, yeah, I think it's all complete speculation there. Because all that stuff about the mad Greek and that he was there, that was all debunked by the restaurant and everything. I guess you guys maybe don't remember that. So it was just stupidity. So I want to go on to Karen Reed. Because I really don't care about it. I mean, it just doesn't make a difference. Let's talk about Karen Reed, then we're going to talk about P. Diddy. Okay, the prosecution is dismantling the defense's timeline. It leans on physical evidence to build the case. Let's see what happened. Defense attorney Robert Alessi cross-examined Maureen Hartnett, a forensic scientist with the Massachusetts State Police, on her examination of Karen Reed's Lexus SUV following the death of John O'Keefe. She says, I performed screening tests on some of the lower lying areas of the undercarriage. Hold on, I forgot to put her in here. So we know we're on a different case. Okay. I performed some screening tests on the lower lying areas of the undercarriage, tire flaps, edge of the bumper, and the muffler pipe, she said. And Alessi asked, and what were the results of the testing? She said those results were negative. And negative for what, Alessi said? Hartnett said it was a screening test for the possible presence of blood. So on the entire undercarriage, from where we started in the very back all the way underneath and all the way up to the front, the screening test came back negative for any blood or other biological material, anything else, Alessi asked. She said, I did not perform a screening test on the entire undercarriage. I just performed it on the lower lying areas, and those were all negative. There was also no visible staining in the area. Defense attorney Robert Alessi grilled Maureen Hartnett on the timeline of Karen Reed's Lexus SUV, her investigation of Karen Reed's Lexus SUV. So within that time period of just 2 hours, you found the pieces of glass and the apparent hair, Alessi said, and within that time, you did your examination, you made your notes, all of that done within just 2 hours? Yes, she said, that's correct. Alessi zeroed in on the hair found on the bumper of Karen Reed's vehicle, asking Hartnett if it appears to have been moved while comparing the two photographs. One camera angle appears for whoever taking the photo will be standing off to the right of the vehicle, Hartnett says. The second one looks like it's more directly head-on. Hartnett went on to testify that she cannot come to a conclusion regarding the possible movement of the hair, pointing to different camera angles. Let's see. State Police forensic scientist Maureen Hartnett testified that during the cross that the blood compiled in the red Solo cups by authorities from the crime scene at 34 Fairview was never tested for DNA. So you left the brown stain evidence from the soda cups with the Canton Police Department? The defense attorney Robert Alessi asked. You didn't take it back to your office or your lab? She said, correct. DNA testing was not done on those swabs, was it, Alessi asked. I don't believe it was. Hartnett said no testing was done on those swabs. So as we all sit here today, there's been no confirmation of whose blood those swabs relate to, correct? Alessi asked. At this time, those were not tested for blood at all, Hartnett said. So I couldn't confirm that there were blood and no additional testing was done. She also testified during direct examination by prosecutor Hank Brennan that she collected the entire taillight housing from Karen Reed's SUV during authorities' investigation into the death of John O'Keefe. While on the stand, she showed the jury pieces of the taillight housing obtained from Karen Reed's vehicle before pointing to the evidence photograph to indicate where she swabbed for DNA during the investigation. She went on to identify photographs showing pieces of O'Keefe's clothing that she used to obtain DNA evidence, and examine damage. Okay. There. Police Sergeant Bryan Kohberger, prosecutor Hank Brennan called. He testified after that. That's when Maureen Hartnett came on, and she testified about her analysis of Karen Reed's Lexus SUV with authorities when they were investigating the death of John O'Keefe, including her findings on the bumper of the vehicle. She said there were scratches on the bumper as well as apparent pieces of glass on the bumper. Brennan said, when you saw what you believe to be pieces of glass on the back bumper, what is the process that you follow? She said, I gave those an identifying letter. I noted those items in my diagram, and then I eventually collect those items. Brennan went on to show the jurors evidence photos of the bumper of Karen Reed's vehicle, with Hartnett pointing out the pieces of glass and the scratches found in the back of the car. She also noted one apparent piece of hair found on the rear of the vehicle. Okay. And then prior to her, Brian Gallerini testified, and he said he talked about his collection of DNA samples from former investigator Michael Proctor and Sergeant Yuri Buchanek during the investigation of John O'Keefe. Gallerini testified that during cross-examination that he was not tasked with gathering samples from the Canton Police Department, Detective Kevin Albert, or Chief Kenneth Berkowitz and Lieutenant Brian Tully. Karen Reed's defense grills trooper on the SUV search, Michael Proctor's ties to police. State Police Sergeant Zachary Clark was on the witness stand. He was working with the State Police Crime Scene Services section when he was called to the Canton Police Headquarters on February 1st, 2022 to meet with former investigator Michael Proctor regarding the initial investigation into John O'Keefe's death. Upon arriving at the location, Clark was tasked with carrying out a search warrant of Karen Reed's Lexus SUV alongside Massachusetts State Police Forensic Specialist Maureen Hartnett. And Clark said, my recollection is that Hartnett was chiefly concerned with the exterior of the vehicle, namely the right rear corner. She was looking for DNA and trace evidence, I believe. Clark testified he went on to process the vehicle front passenger area for DNA evidence, but was unable to locate any usable fingerprints before traveling to 34 Fairview to gather photographs of the front yard. Lally then presented photos from the inside of Karen Reed's vehicle showing the dashboard of the SUV. Following a short line of direct questioning, defense attorney David Yannetti began cross-examining Clark on his knowledge of Proctor's friendship with the Canton Police Detective Kevin Albert. Did Michael Proctor reveal to you that he and Kevin Albert had socialized together by drinking alcohol in his police cruiser? Yannetti asked. Before Clark could answer, the prosecution objected, and Judge Beverly Cannoni dismissed the jurors for that morning recess. Let's see here. The prosecution in Karen Reed's trial stated that the day started the day off by playing a televised interview where Karen Reed talked to Investigation Discovery on June 15th. In the clip, Reed dismisses the possibility that her boyfriend John O'Keefe could have started a fight with ATF agent Brian Higgins, and Karen Reed and Higgins exchanged flirtatious text messages in the days leading up to O'Keefe's death. I don't see how John would have known about my text with Brian, Reed said. I'm not sure if he knew how he would have reacted. I'm sure if he knew, he would have reacted very strongly. I think we would have broken up, but I don't think John would have lost it and caused a fight. I didn't feel that John's emotions with me got really strong. Karen Reed's statements directly conflict the defense attorney Alan Jackson, suggesting that O'Keefe fought Higgins in a jealous rage in the hours before his death. You were just asked about your opinion on whether or not there was a motive that you found for Brian Higgins to want to murder John O'Keefe. Jackson asked Sergeant Yuri Buchanek of the Massachusetts State Police. I'm asking you a different question. Did you, in your mind, in your opinion, after having read those texts, find a motive for Brian Higgins perhaps to want to confront John O'Keefe because of jealousy? If you're asking for my opinion is he wouldn't need to confront Mr. O'Keefe. Buchanek said, Mr. O'Keefe was not the one pursuing Mr. Higgins. It's your client that was pursuing Mr. Higgins. Okay, so that goes on. I mean, it's just everybody goes back and forth with this case. I shouldn't say everybody. There's some people that believe she's totally innocent. Others that, I I don't know. It's just something else, huh? Well, let's see what's going on with Diddy and Cassie Ventura's testimony. And she's very pregnant, remember? Okay, let's put that up there. So this, I mean, I was, while I was doing things, I was listening to this as well, what they were saying about it. I don't get what's going on here, so hang on for a minute. Let me grab another one because this is not wanting to behave. Come on. Sorry, God, I'm still trying to get back into the swing of let's try this one. Okay. Just leave that one there right now. Oh, all right. So, star witness Cassie Ventura continued her bombshell testimony today. We know we read a lot yesterday about what went on. It's not being televised, of course. So, Cassie returned to the stand for more bombshell testimony. She's the government's highest profile witness in the case against Diddy Combs. She told the court that she was frequently physically abused by Diddy. She suffered multiple medical issues as a result of constant freak-offs, the drug-fueled orgies allegedly orchestrated by Sean Combs, and she was blackmailed with sex videos. She testified that Combs arred her in 2018. Ventura returns to the witness stand again tomorrow when the defense will begin their cross-examination. The jury was shown the security video showing Combs assaulting Cassie Ventura at a Los Angeles hotel in 2016, as well as a sensitive video and still images documenting the injuries she sustained and the alleged incidents of abuse. Let me see. Cassie testified that Sean Combs arred her in 2018 after she said they were supposed to have a closure conversation. She said the two went out to dinner at a restaurant in Malibu, California. She recalled their conversation was nice and playful At that time, she said she was already in a relationship with her now husband, Alex Fine. Sean Combs eventually took her back to her apartment. Ventura told the jurors at the court. She said, "I went inside. He came in and arred me on the living room floor." She remembers crying and saying, "No, it was fast. His eyes were black. He wasn't himself. It was like somebody taking something from you." She said after that incident, the two were intimate voluntarily one other time. The court was shown a close-up photo of Cassie Ventura's eyebrow and black eye. When asked who gave her the black eye, she responded, "Sean." Yikes, what did I just do there? Oh, that's right. Okay. Sean Combs prevented his family from seeing Ventura after she had sustained any injuries. He told me to make sure his son couldn't see me like that with the bruises on my face. Cassie Ventura said in 2011, while she was at home in Connecticut during the holiday season, she called off her relationship. Excuse me, I just gotta put this up here. With hold on, I have a Polish bottle. Okay. She called off her relationship with Scott Miss Cutie. There was too much uncertainty if we continued to see each other, she said, adding that there was danger and Sean said he was going to hurt the both of us. At one point, she said Sean Combs told her when she was out of the country that Scott's car would be blown up. Cassie Ventura told the jury that she went to see her mother in Connecticut after allegedly being physically beaten by Sean Combs. She said she raised her shirt, allowing her mother to take photos of the bruises to her lower back and butt, along with wounds on her right thigh. "I believe I told her this was the first time. I didn't tell her about the freak-offs." She said she felt she couldn't justify it to anyone, especially her mom. She recalled an incident where Sean Combs beat her, saying he got angry with her after she was at a party at Prince's house. Ventura went to the basement believing that Prince was going to play music, she told the court. She said, "I caught a glimpse of Sean, so I ran out as fast as I could because I thought he was angry. I knew he was angry. His facial expression, he came after me later." In a Los Angeles hotel room, she said, "Combs beat me up and threw luggage at me. I had bruising on my face and knots on my head." Ventura recalled a violent outburst by Sean Combs that she said happened early in the relationship that left her shocked and angry. She said she spotted Sean Combs flirting in a restaurant with another woman, and when they got back to their car, the rapper knocked me around in an outburst that allegedly happened in 2007 or 2008. He hit me on the side of my head and I fell to the floor of the Escalade. He shook me up and scared me quite a bit, so I got out of the car. I was shocked. I didn't understand what happened and why he was so angry. She said, "I know his capabilities, his access to guns, the threats he made." After lunch, proceedings were delayed as the court was finishing touches on installing personal video screens for each juror on sensitive video and still images that were being shielded from public view. Cassie identified herself and others engaged in various sex acts. As the jury paid very close attention, the courtroom was silent. One female juror nodded as Ventura identified people and one male panelist took written notes. "That's me," Ventura said of an image, adding that she had the baby oil applied to her. People, at least 20 fans of Sean Combs, camped outside overnight ahead of the court's doors opening. Cassie Ventura appeared less outwardly emotional during today's testimony, not breaking down in tears on the stand as she did several times yesterday. Combs' ex-girlfriend is more composed today, speaking in a calm but somber tone of voice. She's wearing a gray turtleneck dress and a black coat in court. Prosecutors presented a text message exchange in which Cassie described how badly Combs abused her. "You treat me like Ike Turner," she wrote to Sean Combs. A reference to the volatile marriage of the late musician was known to have with his ex-wife, Tina Turner. "He was abusive and controlling. He was physically abusive. He put me down as much as I would be built up. The sheer embarrassment, how he treated me in front of other people," Ventura testified of Sean Combs. She recalled a time when Sean Combs attacked her and gashed her face in 2013 and then forced her to go to a plastic surgeon to treat the wound. "Sean came in. I was asleep. He was trying to attack me. We went into the master bedroom. My friends were jumping on his back, trying to stop him. I cut my eyebrow in the corner of the bed. Sean threw me onto the metal frame. I had a significant gash. I didn't go to the ER. It was Sunday. Sean had security take me to a plastic surgeon in Beverly Hills. After the incident," she said she texted Combs a photo of the injury, writing, "So you can remember. You don't know when to stop. You have pushed it too far," Combs replied. "Just say sorry. I don't know why I deserved that. You could care less if I was okay," Cassie responded. She said she felt mortified and trapped when she spotted Combs watching videos of her having as they flew on a commercial jet. They had been arguing during a 2013 trip to Cannes, and the flight home took an embarrassing turn. He pulled up freak-off videos on his laptop that I thought were deleted. He was showing them with other people around. I said, "You're embarrassing me." I was scared. I felt trapped. How do you get out of that situation? I felt trapped, she said. She said she arranged a freak-off within hours of their landing so he wouldn't get angry. If she didn't, she testified, he said the videos would be released. She testified she would get scared during freak-offs and Combs would injure her. She testified that sometimes she would be afraid during the freak-off parties, which often turned violent. She said, "Sean would put his hands on me. He would push me down. He'd kick me. There were other times if we were having a bad time, if I was scared of him, uncomfortable, typically I would leave and go out of the back of the hotel," she said. When asked by the prosecutors how often Sean Combs would injure her during the freak-off, she replied, "Too often." Combs told Cassie that having multiple sex partners was a lifestyle and a turn-on for him. "What he told me was if we could swap partners, a certain lifestyle, and that was a turn-on for him," Ventura said after the prosecutor asked if she was a swinger with Sean Combs. The lifestyle included sex club visits, which Ventura said she didn't enjoy. When she didn't want to go, Combs still pressed the issue. Some of the time he would try to turn the energy around and keep it positive, become playful and funny and not scary. He would push and try to convince me. When the prosecution asked why she drank so much at these sex clubs, Ventura responded, "Because I didn't want to be sober." Cassie said the freak-offs would sometimes cause her to have urinary tract infections, mouth sores, and gastrointestinal issues. When we were having frequent freak-offs, they were back-to-back, and sometimes I would do a freak-off with the infection. She said, I tried to flush it out with water. I got to the point where Cipro, an antibiotic, didn't work anymore. It was a mess. It was really painful for a long time. I can't believe I actually dealt with that. She said that after a freak off, she would go back to Combs's place where they would have massages to take care of themselves. I had an addiction to opiates, so I would take pills to come down. I wanted to feel numb and not know what was going on in my mind. She said she got the drugs from a drug dealer who sometimes did the drugs with her beginning in 2007. When asked how she felt after a freak off, Ventura said, I felt so tired, achy, dehydrated, not really eating too much. Emotionally, I felt empty, gross, like I did a job. Cassie Ventura recalled the panic she felt after first learning that video of her having sex with another man at Combs's direction might have been leaked. Former girlfriend was hosting an event in Atlantic City when someone I was working with said they saw a sexually explicit video of me, so I reached out to Sean. I need you to call me ASAP, according to the text message sent March 9th of 2014. Ventura said that any leaked footage would put my career in jeopardy and cause me great embarrassment to my mother and my family. Okay. Sean Combs is King Combs, who's the son of Sean Combs, had an umbrella for his grandmother, Janice Combs, mother of Sean Combs, as they arrived at court in the rain. Okay. Cassie Ventura said that Sean Combs was upset with her. He would frequently remind her that he had videos of her having sex at his freak-offs. She said that Combs brought up the videos on the night of her birthday when she refused to leave her friends to go with Combs to a freak-off. It is horrible and disgusting. No one should do that to anyone, she said, of the alleged blackmail. It could ruin everything I've worked for, make me look like a SLUT. It wasn't supposed to be on those videos. I wasn't supposed to be on those videos, she said. Hold on a second, I just had a hangnail. I didn't want to be in them. Okay. Ketamine was the drug of choice for Combs and Cassie Ventura during the orgies with the sex workers. Ketamine, Sean had it. It took time out of the freak-off, testifying about the sex with the other men at his direction. That was my preferred drug because it was the most dissociative. The prosecution showed Ventura a dozen photos of sex workers hired for the freak-offs. Ventura remembered many, but not all of the names, such as Ash, Islander, Skylar, and Jake, from the website Cowboys for Angels. Don't remember his name. He looks familiar from Freak Off, she said at one picture. The court looked at text messages and photos shortly after the hotel attack. Cassie said she had to attend the premiere of her movie, The Perfect Match, with bruises on her face and body. She said she thought at one time Combs was sick to think that it was okay to do that to her, and she wanted him to stay away. The court was also shown a photo of Cassie Ventura and Sean Combs smiling at the premiere. She said she had to change her outfit to cover up bruises on her legs and needed to apply a lot of makeup to cover her black eye and her fat lip. see. Combs pounded on Cassie Ventura's apartment door, demanding to see his then girlfriend after assaulting her at the Los Angeles hotel back in 2016. Ventura still isn't sure how Combs got to the 17th floor of her apartment building, calling the scene chaos outside the door, banging, kicking, yelling, and banging some more. He didn't get inside. Cassie Ventura describes how Sean Combs lost control during a 2016 meltdown in Los Angeles hotel hallway, hurling a vase that just missed her. She said, "I don't remember exactly his words. I'm sure he was calling me something other than my name." Security was evidently called, but Combs allegedly made it clear that Ventura wasn't free to leave on her own accord. The defendant told Ventura that I was going to leave him, then I couldn't, according to Ventura. And that's what we did today. And I did a little better than yesterday with the content, but I still, my goodness, have to go to bed. I am exhausted. I will see you all tomorrow. I love you guys. God bless, and prayers. Be good.